First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I am never babysitting or being childcare for her and her husband again? My 29 female, sister 32 female, asked me if I could babysit Thursday and Friday afternoons after school for her and her husband while they work. I said sure, no problem. I love my niece and nephew and I love spending time with them. It was also a nice way to get to know her husband's 2 kids better when they had them. It has worked great for 3 years I have been doing it. Then I started doing an occasional Saturday night for their date nights. For a while, I have had some issues with her husband. There were nights he didn't have his kids from a previous relationship, but he wanted me to babysit as well and I never felt comfortable with this. When it is his parenting time, absolutely no problem. But I know his ex from a past job and I do not want to get involved with her level of crazy, which babysitting on her parenting time could potentially bring to my door. My sister and I talked about this before, and she got him to back off for the most part. Because of this, I was happy to continue. So last Saturday, I was supposed to babysit for them to have a kid-free night after months of craziness due to COVID. My sister's husband shows up with all the kids, because it was their parenting time, and his ex's younger child and her boyfriend's kids. Nobody said anything to me. I never agreed to have all those kids, and at the door he acted like a jerk because I told him I was not babysitting all those kids. I called my sister and she said she had no idea he would do that. I told her that I am tired of him pushing and that last night crossed a line for me and I am not willing to subject myself to the pressure again. Not to mention it made me feel like a jerk having to deal with it while all the kids were standing there, some of whom I had never laid eyes on before. My sister is understandably hurt, but said she understands. Her husband is telling me I am an a-hole for dropping out of things on such short notice. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He tried to take advantage of you babysitting by dropping more kids on you unexpectedly. He doesn't deserve you as a babysitter. I'm still so frustrated about that. I would be too. He's incredibly rude for trying that. Rude and overall, just being a jerk with the whole thing. Not the a-hole. What a lot of nerve. Dropping kids off that you don't even know and expecting you to watch them. That's a whole lot of a-hole behavior on his part. It is. I thought he was an a-hole enough for trying to push this on me for several months. But he went even beyond that. He dropped off 4 children I did not know, had never met before, and thought I would just accept it. Absolutely amazing. I don't understand how anyone, under any circumstances, would think this is okay. Unless an asteroid is heading to Earth and for some reason, the only way the children will survive is if they are under your care. But I am reasonably sure that was not the case. Lol, no. Not even close to what was going on. It's crazy. I can hardly believe he thought I would give in at the door. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I am not taking my nieces again? I, 27 female, have 2 sons. My oldest is 6 and my youngest is 2. My sister, 31 female, has 2 daughters, ages 9 and 7. Up until a year and a half ago, we lived in different states. Then she moved back and I started spending some more time with my nieces and it was horrible. First time, took all the kids to McDonald's and the oldest threw a fit because she didn't get the toy she wanted. She was yelling and saying I needed to buy her another meal to get her the toy. She tantrumed all the way back to my sister's house. During this, the youngest kept throwing food too and wouldn't stop when told to. Second time, my sister and I took the kids to the zoo. The youngest spat on my oldest ice cream because he got the last of the flavor she wanted. My sister made very little deal out of it and shrugged it off. The oldest told my oldest that's the reason you give them what they want. Third time was going shopping. Sister asked me to take the girls for the afternoon because things came up. Had them in the car and they both threw a fit because they didn't want to go grocery shopping and then they kept kicking the cart when I was going around. The youngest tried to break something so we would be made leave. I stepped into discipline many times and got told I was not their mom and they didn't have to listen to me. I ended up dropping them back with their dad. Fourth time, brought all 4 kids to the park and they didn't want to stay because they thought we were going to a water park. They did everything they could to ruin my oldest having fun, and then when I pulled them back and said if they couldn't play nice or entertain themselves, which I tried to get them to do, they would run in different directions and yell. So we left after less than half an hour. Final time. They were at my house, so my sister and her husband could have a date night. They wouldn't eat the food I prepared, nuggets and fries, because they wanted pizza. They didn't want apple pie, they wanted chocolate cake for dessert. They were spitting in everyone else's food and throwing it on the floor. I got the same attitude when giving discipline, and they started yelling when they weren't getting their way. This lasted all night. They wouldn't go to bed, didn't sleep. Woke both my kids up. Each time I sat and spoke to my sister, and she seemed to take it seriously, especially after I pointed out after the zoo incident, and then the last time she shrugged it off as kids will be kids. And I told her if that's how they behave, then I'm not going to have them in my home or take them anywhere. She said that was fine. Then after she returned to work post-lockdown, she asked me to help out in a few emergencies which I said no to, and she called me a jerk for not helping. But the way they behave, I am not willing to sign up for that. Especially if she's going to shrug it off. Am I the a-hole? I wanted to add this here because more than one person has brought up why I would give them so many chances and subject my kids to them. It's because I was happy to finally be more active in their lives, and I have always loved having a big family around us. We grew up with a lot of cousins, and sometimes they spent time at our house, and we spent time at theirs. I wanted that for my kids. So yes, I let it go on too long for my own kids' sake, because I kept hoping my sister was serious, and the next time would be better. But it never got better, and eventually I do have to put my kids first and say enough is enough, which is what happened. I am sad that it ended up like this though. Adding some more details here that have come up along the way. Also, thank you for all the responses. I was not expecting it, and I am relieved to see them all. My parents have had some bad experiences with them too. Throwing food on the floor, yelling at them, being demanding and rude. In my parents' house, they never spat, but there was an incident in their own home where my sister decided my dad should get the bigger steak, and the oldest did not like that, and so, yeah, you don't need me to go into details. My parents were horrified. They're still horrified. They would never have allowed us to behave anything like that, and at their ages, it's just awful. I don't know of any specific issues. Part of me is wondering if there is a reason they moved back here. Maybe it's just my negative mind after everything, but maybe they lost all their support there? Maybe they had babysitters and help there, but his family got tired of it and refused because of the behavior. No way would that behavior come out of nowhere, but I wasn't around enough when they were little to know if they were acting out like that or not. Otherwise, it sounds like they just get away with doing whatever they want, and so they never learned how to stop. I am aware they've had some issues in school, but I don't know any details really. I can't imagine they would get away with that spitting though. No way would a school tolerate that. Now for the top comments. Not Dayhall. These kids sound like animals. I'm amazed Opie gave them 5 chances. Not Dayhall. That is feral. Assuming they're neurotypical, I truly don't understand how your sister and her husband aren't deeply alarmed. If your kids spend too much time with them, there's virtually no way it won't cause them to develop issues. They're already getting bullied. Your sister has the right to raise, or not, her kids however she wants, and you have the right to do the same. If her parenting is negatively impacting yours, then drawing a line is perfectly fair. She can't get mad. Respect for each other's lifestyles cuts both ways. I would hold extremely firm on it if I were you, and only restore her babysitting privileges if you see actual change, not just hear promises about it. That's what I plan to do. I would love to spend time with my nieces, but not with the level of disrespect and danger that comes with it. I could never forgive myself if they got hurt. Not Dayhole, especially with a spitter and how they are hard to discipline or control. That's very dangerous and can get you in a lot of trouble that your sister will not take responsibility for. If she can't discipline them, then she can keep them all to herself. Why would she go back to work before figuring out childcare for her own children? How is that your fault? That's my concern. Imagine if something happened when they're running off because they're not getting their way. Anything could happen to them. I'm sad about it too because I was excited to spend more time with them, but the disrespect, man, it's too much for me. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister move in and kicking her when she's already down? I, 32 female, have a sister, 31 female, who has always thought highly of herself amongst our family. Growing up, she's always belittled us, especially our single mom, calling her an idiot. Mom made several poor financial decisions back then, which caused my mom a lot of grief and made her cry on multiple occasions. She has also always scorned me since I did not finish my college degree. When I was 20, Mom lost her full-time job and was only able to get part-time job. I chose to put my degree on hold and help my mom with family expenses so my sister can get through art school and my brother can finish high school and go to college. After finishing art school, my sister has since distanced herself from our family. We do get occasional phone calls. Due to COVID, my brother, 25 male, came to live with me so both of us can save on costs. He's occupying my spare room and we turned the living room into an office since we're both working from home. We split the cost 70-30 since I earn a bit more than him. We have built a comfortable and respectful dynamic during this past few months. Where I might be the a-hole. My sister lost her job 3 months ago due to COVID. Because of that, she couldn't keep up with her house payments and move into a small rental. She found out little brother was living with me. She said that she also wanted to move in, but take the room he's using and kick him out to my living room sofa bed. On top of that, she said to split the cost of living as 50, me, 30, bro, 20, her. She said that's all she could afford right now. When we three talked about it, he said he's fine moving to the sofa bed, as long as she do the majority of the chores while she's looking for work. They got into an argument because sis didn't want that, and insisted that we get equal amount of chores. I tried to mediate at first, saying that if she wants equal chores, she should be the one sleeping on the sofa bed since she'd technically be paying less than him. But she's saying that we're both being unfair because she's unemployed and can't pay more than that. I rolled my eyes at her and snapped, "Wow, so nice of you to talk about equality when you've always been so conceited. Looks like the tides have turned." She burst into tears and called me a witch for kicking her when she felt down enough as it is, and left. Needless to say, the move-in didn't happen, and we never contacted her after that. A few weeks later, Mom found out about our argument. Sis called her, asking her to persuade me, and told me I was a bit harsh on her, because she's going through a lot right now. She also said that while it'd be better for my sister if she could move in with us so she could focus on looking for a job, she will respect my decision either way and won't force me. I'm still not keen on letting my sister move in my house, but I also feel bad for what I said to her during our argument, and I'm wondering if I could have worded it differently and had not kicked her down, as she said. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You were willing for her to pay less than everyone else and take up the room. But the fact she has to do more housework, absolutely more than fair, she's decided not to agree. That's on her, not you. Not the a-hole. Exactly this. It shows just how conceited the sister really is. It's bad enough she has no respect for how OP made sacrifices for her before. Now she wants to come into someone else's home and start dictating? OP, don't feel bad. Your sister sounds unbearable and not connected to reality. Not the a-hole. She can't expect everything to go her way, especially when she has no intention of actually working for whatever it may be. And it's the pandemic. We're all struggling, so I have zero sympathy for her. She deserves the couch. I respectfully disagree. She doesn't even deserve the couch. Not the a-hole, OP. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for blocking my brother's fiancée after she announced she was pregnant? I'll explain the situation very quickly, and I'll do my best to not leave out important details. I, female 33, been married for over 7 years, and I've been struggling with health issues that prevented me from having a healthy pregnancy. I've miscarried 3 times, and both me and my husband are becoming frustrated, and we've literally lost any hope. This has clearly become a sensitive topic for us, and I can't help but feel absolutely horrible whenever I think about it. My brother Sam and his fiancée have been together for 2 years now. She's a bit rude and would constantly bring up the fact that I can't have kids by making backhanded comments. For example, she told my mom and dad after I miscarried for the 2nd time that the family won't have any grandchildren till she and my brother have kids, and talked about how much pressure I must be feeling since the clock was ticking, because women over 30 have less chances of having healthy pregnancy. Even implied that my husband will eventually leave since he had a right to have his own kids since I can't give him that. As a result, I've distanced myself from my brother and my family because she was present at their house the whole time behaving like this. I had my 3rd miscarriage this past week, and I'm still dealing with complications both physically and mentally. I got a text from my brother's fiancée the next day, literally after I got out of the hospital, that she was sorry I miscarried, and that she was happy to tell me she was pregnant. In the same text. I couldn't help but notice the sarcasm in her text, especially when she decided to invite me to my own parents' house to celebrate. completely disregarding what I just experienced. I showed it to my husband, then I blocked her immediately. She found out and she told my whole family. Told them that I blocked her right after I found out she was pregnant and used the fact that I didn't visit because I was being resentful and jealous. My brother was angry that I blocked her. He told me I was clearly being bitter and disrespectful. My brother keeps parroting her words and won't even see anything wrong with her behavior. It's always been like this, but now it's worse since she's pregnant and everyone is trying to please her. That I ruined this for them and that I shouldn't hate on my future niece/nephew out of spite. Both my mom and dad weren't happy with what I did. Mom even tried to say my husband made me do this because we're too bitter to be happy for my brother and his fiancée. The extended family heard the news and said they were shocked I did this, saying that I'm always known to be a nice person who doesn't pull this type of nonsense. I didn't feel like what I did was wrong, but now I do. I feel so horrible, but given how she treated me in the past, I figured she did this deliberately. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Show everyone the text she sent you. She's doing this on purpose, and she sounds like a psycho. Exactly. Not the a-hole. She was trying to rub it in your face. You don't put the two things into one message, and she could have held off for a few days after to tell OP. You need to show your family the message and read it out how perceived her tone to be. Not the a-hole. Did you show them the text? Show exactly why you did it. She used her announcement to make another dig at you. Disgusting. A-holes like that shouldn't be enabled or supported. No, I haven't seen them after this, and they didn't give me the chance to explain. Even if I did, they think I did this because of the fact that she was pregnant, but she was being rude and disrespectful to me even after I went through this awful experience. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I'm glad his mom died before she could meet our baby? Okay, I know how that sounds, but hear me out. My husband's mom was a nightmare, like Lifetime movie villain level. She called me a gold digger for marrying her precious son. He's a freaking accountant, not Elon Musk. Forgot to invite me to family holidays for 3 years and once mailed him a framed photo of his ex with a note saying, "The one who got away." When we announced our pregnancy, she said, "I'll believe it's his when I see the DNA test." She died suddenly last year in a car accident. I didn't cry, but my husband was wrecked, obviously, and I held him through it. But inside, relief, deep, ugly relief. Fast forward to now. Our daughter is 4 months old. Last night, my husband got drunk and tearful, saying, "I wish mom could have held her just once." And I, sleep-deprived and still sore from breastfeeding, just snapped. Thank God she didn't. She would have made our kid feel like crap the way she did me. Silence. Then he called me a heartless witch and slept on the couch. Part of me knows I crossed the line, but another part stands by it. She was cruel, and death doesn't erase that. He's grieving a mom who wasn't real, the version he wished she was. Meanwhile, I'm over here with stretch marks and a baby who finally sleeps, just not sorry. So, am I the a-hole? Or is this one of those cases where the truth is an a-hole but it needed to be said? Now for the top comments. My granny always said, "Don't make the preacher lie about you at your funeral." Not the a-hole, and everyone sucks here. It's an extremely low blow you dealt to someone grieving losing their mother, but it sounds like he was quite the heartless witch to you about her behavior when she was alive. I think you guys need to talk this out, because there seems to be a lot of resentment under the surface about how she treated you, how he handled it, and how you're expected to whitewash that history now that she's gone. Don't do this when sleep-deprived and juggling the baby, though. Make sure you find a good time for the convo. She was horrible to you. Did he ever try to stop that? Nope. He always apologized to me, but never really did anything or talked to his mother, sadly. It never ceases to amaze me how folks will talk about horrible dead people, like they were good and kind. You're right, he's grieving what he never had, and pretending that was his reality. Never ever forget that he didn't protect you from his mother. This behavior will manifest itself in another way in the future. You might also want to keep an eye on his drinking. People who become verbally abusive when they drink are already grappling with an alcohol problem. Good luck, OP. Not the a-hole. Death does not make heroes of us all. Don't speak ill of the dead is utter BS. You are under no obligation to lie about the abuse you suffered at her hands. Your husband knows what she said to you about your daughter's paternity. The problem is that you thought he disagreed with the things she said. The fact that he's angry that you're relieved not to be abused anymore says a whole bunch. My grandma was next level evil. All my aunts and uncles hated her. Then she died and it's, oh, she was a wonderful woman. She did so good by us. And I'm there like WTF? No, she did not. That woman was straight up Satan in heels. I despise my dad. When he dies, I'm not gonna make his memory something it isn't. I'm gonna be dancing on his freaking grave. He's an evil, abusive bastard, LOL. My mom was this way. She had an alcoholic, possibly narcissistic dad who wreaked havoc on his family, who all enabled him. When he died, he became the next best thing to Jesus incarnate. He was wonderful and perfect and a great dad. No, he wasn't. He loved me and Elle loved him. But as a teen when he died, I just sat back wondering what the heck was in her head. Still do. Next story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with her after I saw her apartment? I had been seeing this girl for a few months. We met through a friend, so I had known her a little longer, but she was gorgeous, and I was super into her. Last Saturday, she invited me to her place, which I had never been to. She had mentioned her apartment was a mess, and I laughed because I thought she was just being self-deprecating. But when we got to her place, holy dude. I want to start off by saying, I know that people have their reasons for stuff like this, and I don't want to be disrespectful in any way, but the state of her apartment was genuinely shocking when I first went in. It was a pretty small place, and I'm not just talking about clutter. Literal piles of trash on the floor, a sink full of dishes overflowing onto the counter, stains on the couch and carpet, week-old food on the table, and just piles and piles of stuff everywhere. Not to mention the overpowering smell of mold and mildew that I could literally taste in my mouth. She told me to sit down and stuff like it was completely normal, and I tried not to act weird, but I'm sure she noticed. I stayed for a bit and we watched a movie on the couch, but I left before it got too late. The next day I called her and told her I didn't think things were going to be compatible between us, and she got mad at me for leading her on and breaking up with her for no reason. I didn't mention the apartment, but I don't know, maybe I should have? Literally nothing about her appearance or personality would lead me to expect this, so it was sort of unbelievable to see the state she was living in. I feel bad for her, and I'm worried I might have acted too quickly. Not the a-hole, but I do think you should have mentioned the apartment. People who don't know what the problem is cannot take any corrective action. Tell her and move on. I think you could be right. My niece is like this. She lived with us for a while and completely trashed her room and didn't appear to have any qualms about the kitchen or lounge either. She's a grown adult and we had to ask her to leave. Such was the mess and stench. She doesn't seem to care or need to do anything about it. In fact, I'd say she's butthurt we couldn't tolerate her mess, like it's perfectly normal. She needs to be told by her contemporaries, because she certainly didn't care about how we felt about it. My oldest sister is like this. Everyone has told her and offered to help her clean up her house. Now she just doesn't let people into her house. Even her car is freaking disgusting, but if you knew her outside of those two scenarios, you would never know. She dresses well and her hygiene and appearance is impeccable. She just won't change. I feel badly for her kids. I wish I had paid attention to this red flag. I didn't, and now I'm having to extricate myself from a long-term relationship that has been severely damaging to my mental health. Not the a-hole. Same. After 2 years, I tried everything. Helping him, doing it together, but he still kept procrastinating. I ended up exhausted from managing 2 homes, and when I came to his place, all the stuff from the 2 weeks I hadn't been there had piled up. I told him I can't do it anymore. I'm only coming over when he cleans up. We talked about what should be done. Recently, we were together for something else in his area and had something to eat at his place. We ordered food because the whole counter was full of clutter, food, and nasty cooking stuff. I said, "I'm not staying. It's bad for my mental health." He said, "Oh well, I already knew you were leaving because it's never good enough for you, miss." He only put his sheets from his bed in the washing machine. There was dog hair all over the floor. The table was piled with stuff, clipped nails on the small table, crap stains in the toilet, plastic wrappers and cardboard from all sorts of food, and impulsive buying BS. When he's at my place, I have to clean twice as hard because he makes a mess everywhere he goes. I accepted that, but it feels like having a teenager in the house. My 7-year-old son cleans up after himself more. Long story short, I wish I had seen the signs earlier and called it quits. Now I'm in love with this grown-up version of a toddler. Next story. Am I the a-hole for pushing back on a prenup where my fiancé's family wants half my assets, even though she has $30 million and I have less than $100,000? I, male, am getting married in 2 months to my fiancé, female. She comes from a very wealthy family and has multiple trust funds totaling around $30 million. She owns the $11 million home we live in outright and earns $500,000 plus per year in passive income, dividends, distributions, etc. She does not work and doesn't plan to. I, on the other hand, work full-time, earn around $200,000 per year, and have less than $100,000 in net worth. I don't own any property or equity outside of a small stake in my startup. In the past, I have covered $5,000 a month in our shared expenses, things like groceries, meals, and transportation, and I'm open to doing something like this in marriage. Her family has retained a top law firm to draft a prenup. They are proposing that, in the event of a divorce, she would be entitled to half of my net worth, even considering I would own no equity in the homes, cars, or any large lifestyle assets. I'm coming in with very little and trying to build up from there. They say this is standard, but nothing about our situation feels standard. I've proposed something I believe is far more fair. We each keep what we bring into the marriage. Trusts and premarital assets stay separate, including any growth. We contribute to a shared fund, proportional or equal to be decided, for things like food, shared travel, so long as it's not outrageously expensive, childcare, etc. No alimony or lump sums if we split. We simply part with what we earned. Possibly a clause where, if I ever reach a certain level of wealth, say over $10 million, she'd be entitled to a capped portion, like 35% of anything above that amount. Though even that is starting to feel unfair. She believes that because she is funding our lifestyle, staying home with future children, and providing a standard of living I couldn't afford on my own, she is owed something back in the event of a divorce. But I won't own the home. I can't make financial decisions. I'm not building equity. It feels like I'm living in a world someone else built, and still being asked to pay for it later, like something is owed. To me, marriage is about building a future together, not feeling like a guest. Am I the a-hole for feeling like this prenup is completely one-sided and for pushing for more autonomy and clarity around shared expenses instead of just accepting what her family thinks is standard? Now for the top comments. Don't sign anything without getting a lawyer first. I've discussed this with several lawyers. Their law firm is infamous. Lawyer I like is $7K retainer, $625 per hour. We are meeting again ASAP. The issue is they still haven't sent the prenup, so every hour I spend with him is somewhat hypothetical and based on my ideal terms. It's ridiculously stressful and an example of a high expense when dealing with a very rich family and keeping up with them, so to speak. The issue for me is that she believes this structure is fair, pre-negotiation, which is why I want public opinion. If she believes it is fair to screw you over when you are in the happy stage of your relationship, imagine how she will treat you if she ever decides to be done with you. You have bigger problems than disagreement over a prenup. Are you sure you should be marrying into this? While looking through OP's post history, said fiancé has a history of drug abuse and alcoholism as recently as a year ago, so I guess I'm wondering if he sees any benefit. Yeah, thought about deleting that but decided against it. She is doing much better and I love her very much. Ideally, this would be kept separate and viewed in the context of whether her or her family is the a-hole in this case, or I am for overcomplicating this and throwing away our future. I'm sure this is not what she wants to do, but I think it would be a huge mistake to marry this woman. You may totally love her to death, and it may be a match made in heaven on some level, but this is asking for serious trouble. If there are ever any problems in the marriage, she's gonna lawyer up or get her rich family to torture you into doing what she wants. I'm not judging drug use or whatever, but she's someone who is used to getting what she wants and knows how to manipulate people into getting what she wants. If you want to stay with her, I would take any talk of marriage off the table, continue with the relationship and see how it plays out. Last story. Am I the a-hole for asking my wife for divorce because she would never defend me in front of her friends when they would insult me? My wife, 32 female, and I, 25 male, got married in January this year. My wife is a lot older than me, and I know that despite our age difference, I married her because I truly thought of her as my own family. I believed we could move forward together as a couple, a team, and life partners. But ever since I married my wife, her group of friends has always insulted me whenever they get a chance. At first, they said I didn't need to marry a woman so much older than me, and I just brushed it off. But now, they are saying that I'm a gold digger and only married my wife for money. My wife is a widow and inherited most of her late husband's money. I tried to defend myself and told them that I'm capable of earning my own money. I also will inherit a lot of money from my parents, and I'll have more money than they could ever imagine. But that didn't stop them, and they continued to insult me. I asked my wife to stop her friends, but she didn't do anything for me. So I told my wife that I wanted a divorce. She freaked out and asked me why. I told her that I wanted divorce because her obnoxious friends keep insulting me, and she doesn't defend me. I feel like she doesn't respect me as her husband, so I want to leave. My wife cried and said she would cut her friends off because she doesn't want to lose me. But I told her that I want a divorce. I told her that I've done everything in my power for her, but she can't even defend me in front of her friends. I don't want a wife who can't have my back. I would rather stay single. The only reason I married her was because I love her. It's been 2 days since I stopped talking to her. She cries all day, and it hurts me to see her crying. She says she will do everything for our marriage and asks me not to give up. But I think my wife doesn't respect me or our marriage. She never defended me, so why should I stay married to her? As big of a red flag as her not responding when you asked her to stop them is, it is at least a big of a red flag that she wouldn't stop it on her own without you asking. Not the a-hole, but you have the right to divorce your wife for any reason. If you don't feel loved, supported, disrespected, if you do not feel comfortable in your marriage, all that are valid reasons for a divorce. However, you had your reasons to get together with your wife and marry her, and at no point in your narrative you indicated that you informed your wife that this was your deal breaker. I get that you are not holding her friends' nagging and insults against her, but her ignoring and enabling it. However, being 32, she might have believed you could deal with it. Not telling her, not informing her, but immediately threatening with divorce seems quite rash. Again, not the a-hole for wanting a divorce, as you have the right for whatever reason, but with no warning? Nah, not cool. I'm not a fan of telling people if they should stay married or not. You should decide how much of a deal breaker versus how much you love this person. And if there's resolutions. I mean, she said she's sorry and is offering solutions. All I'll say is, there's clearly conversations to be had, as she's amenable to changing things. Unless you're resolute in your conviction that you don't want to, then hey. I don't want to divorce my wife either, and if I wanted to, I wouldn't have married her. And yes, it is a deal breaker for me. It's not about what her friends are talking about me. The deal breaker for me is my wife's lack of concern for me. I was expecting her to defend me in front of her friends, but she never defended me, and she only says she will cut her friends off when I ask for a divorce. But the question is, if she's cutting her friends off because they insulted me, or if she's cutting her friends off to make me feel good so I don't leave her. If my friends ever said something like this in front of me and my wife, as to why I married a woman so much older than me, or called my wife a gold digger, I would have shut them down. So why is my wife not doing the same for me? Are her friends more important to her more than her husband? Why can't she defend me in front of her friends? I'm a bit immature, I guess, in front of her and her friends, and I may have took it too far, but the least I was expecting from my wife was to have my back as I would have hers. I will talk to my wife, obviously, before I take a drastic step like divorcing her. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my kids meet my in-laws and my husband's ex-wife after he cheated and left her years ago? I'm feeling pretty flustered right now, so I'm not even going to try and sugarcoat this because my youngest kids are making me lose it right now. Long story short, my husband was married to his ex-wife many years ago. He ended up cheating on her and leaving her for his affair partner. His family shunned and hated him. They took my husband's ex-wife's side and started a smear campaign against them. Honestly, good for them for not letting my husband off the hook, but personally, I could never treat my child the way they did to my husband for cheating on someone. I would berate them and help the betrayed partner, but never go to the lengths they did. My husband ended up leaving his affair partner and moved away. Years later, we met and now we have 5 beautiful children together. During these years, my husband's ex has been reaching out to him, expressing a desire to meet up and meet their kids. Yes, she really seems to think that our kids are the kids she never got to have. My husband shut it down and blocked her number, but she would resurface time and time again, which were all ignored. A couple of days ago, my husband's parents, who might I remind you, I have never in my life met nor will I ever want to meet, messaged me through Facebook, asking to meet up with me without my husband's/their son's knowledge. I thanked them for reaching out, but told them no. They then reached out to my 17-year-old daughter and her older brother and younger siblings, which they told us about after our 17-year-old daughter showed us the message and asked her to meet with them. My daughter didn't reply and told us a day later. Now they want to sue us for grandparent rights and told us that once they get their rights, they will be allowing my husband's ex, who, might I remind everyone again, doesn't even know my kids, around our kids because I took her only chance at motherhood away. Basically, my husband's ex and my in-laws are convinced that they have rights to my kids. Now, I know this might sound like a stupid question, hence my title, so my new question is, would I be the a-hole if I got a restraining order against these crazy people? Edit, his ex is infertile. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your kids, your rules. No one is entitled to a relationship with them, excluding you and your husband. Stay strong and protect your family. Thanks. What my husband did to his ex-wife was horrible and frankly disgusting. But come on, this is insane. My oldest child told me that when he got the message, he debated whether to respond or just not acknowledge it at all. He ended up blocking all 3 of their numbers. Good for you, baby. But you could have told us the second you got that message so that we could protect the younger ones. He understands 100%, which is good, but still. Weird that she wants to see her ex-husband and his kids if he treated her badly. If someone cheated on me, I'd leave them and not want to see them again. Not the a-hole. His mistakes in life shouldn't involve you or your children. It is super weird. My in-laws have also been encouraging this. I would have moved on a long time ago. I would not even keep in contact with my cheating ex-in-laws. What the heck? She really thinks that my kids should have been hers. Get a lawyer. Follow the lawyer's instructions. Everything else is just details. Of course. I'm not sure they have a shot in hell for grandparents' rights, seeing as they haven't even met the children. The purpose of grandparents' rights is when a parent rips away a relationship between the child and grandparents for no reason. That's what I said to my husband. They have no leg to stand on. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share part of my inheritance with my cousin, even though we were raised like siblings? I, 33 male, recently inherited a house from my grandfather. He passed away in January, and I was named the sole beneficiary in his will. Honestly, it wasn't a surprise. I was his primary caretaker for the last few years of his life, handling his appointments, paying his bills, and staying overnight when he got too weak to be alone. We were extremely close, and I really earned his trust. My cousin Jake, 34 male, and I grew up like brothers. Our moms are siblings, and we lived just a few blocks apart. Same school district, same sports teams, even shared birthday parties. So, I get why the inheritance caught him off guard. But here's the kicker. Jake wasn't around. Not just in the last few years, but pretty much ever. He moved to another state, barely called Grandpa, and when he did visit, it always felt rushed, like he was checking a box. After the will was read, Jake called me up and said, "I'm not mad, but I really think Grandpa meant for us both to have something." I told him I understood it was disappointing, but this was Grandpa's decision, and I wasn't going to question it. Then he said, "Well, don't you think it's fair to split it? You got a whole house." So I asked him flat out, "Would you have taken care of him, cleaned up after him when he had accidents, spent your weekends making sure he was comfortable and eating?" He went quiet for a second, then replied, "That's not the point. We're family. You know how close we were growing up. I just think it's sad that money is making you selfish." I said no, not because I'm greedy, but because this isn't just about money. It's about a lifetime of effort and the relationship we built. Grandpa and I earned our closeness, and I respected his wishes. Plus, I've got a lot of work to do on the house since it's older, and this inheritance is my only real financial boost. Now Jake's been telling our extended family that I'm cutting him out and hoarding Grandpa's legacy. A couple of cousins have chimed in with stuff like, "You know he's struggling financially," or "Would it really kill you to just give him something?" My mom says I should ignore it, while my dad's disappointed that the family's fighting over this. I don't think I'm being unreasonable, but now I'm questioning if I should have just thrown him $10,000 or something to keep the peace. Am I the a-hole? Money makes the ugly come out in people. If you use Facebook, otherwise a mass email or text, but put out a note that says I am honoring what my grandfather wanted. I was there, I helped, and I had a relationship with him. No one else did that. This is all I have to say on this subject. If I receive another call, text, or email, I will go ahead and block you. You don't have to like it, but this is what Grandpa wanted, and I will respect his wishes. And then block those who overstepped. I really hate when people throw out, "But we are family." Well, where was family when Grandpa needed help? Family only comes into play when they want something. Not the a-hole. If you give in to him this time, he'll never quit asking for more. And every time you say no, he'll crap talk you to the whole family. So it would be unwise to reinforce his behavior right now. If he had played his cards right, seems likely you would have given him a place to stay and would have helped him out when needed. But he didn't. Props to you for taking care of your grandfather and valuing him while he was still alive. He rewarded you for being so unselfish, so you can hold your head high. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or says. Came back to add, this is a case of family having their hand out because we're family and you're stingy, etc. Agreed. Yes, we are close, and if we stay close, I'll include you in my will. They either want what you have or feel you shouldn't have received it. Since they are all cousins, does this mean you are supposed to split it with everyone? All they see is free money. They have no memories there. They would sell it to cash out. They will guilt you and drain you of every penny if you agreed to split. It's like when someone wins the lottery. They all come out of the woodwork. Usually the winner is broke after a couple of years because there are no limits to what family asks for. So you need to determine the limits right from the start. No one said life was fair. Keep your head down and stay away from those who only talk to you about sharing or a loan. Your grandfather gave it to you because he knew you would keep it due to the memories and the time you put into cleaning it for him. You were chosen. He gave you his history, belongings, and home. He knew the others would cash out. But you would keep his memory alive, while everyone else would move on. That's why you got the house. Continue honoring his wishes. I hear if you put a broom outside the entry door, upside down with the bristles up, it's supposed to deter negative energy. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling off my future sister-in-law when she didn't want to invite my younger brother to her wedding? I, 23 female, have an older brother, Drew, 26 male, who is getting married at the end of this summer. To say it lightly, me and his fiancée Lacey, 25 female, do not get along. She's very stuck up and has made some snide comments to me and my younger brother Max, 16 male. For context, Max has always been the black sheep of the family. He is very academically and artistically talented, but my father and mother are disappointed in his lack of interest in sports. Cliché, I know. Not to mention they've favored my sister, his twin, Caroline, 16 female. Max and Lacey were civil for a while, but I guess I haven't seen them speak in a long time for reasons unknown to me. The problem occurred last night when I was asking Lacey about the wedding and how the planning was going. She started telling me about her seating chart and showing me what she had planned. I was looking at the chart, and Max's name was nowhere to be found. I don't love Lacey, but I'm not going to assume the worst of her, so I asked her where Max's name was, and she got suddenly quiet. "He's not going to be there," she said. "You mean not in the wedding party?" I asked. "No, he's not invited." She said it so calmly, I'd assume she was talking about the weather. I kept asking her why she wouldn't invite him, but invited Caroline. She just said that she feels Caroline is more mature because she is a girl. This wedding isn't going to be child-free. Lacey has stated this multiple times. I have many little cousins who are being invited since family is very important to us. Not inviting Max makes no sense. He is a very nice kid and very mature for his age, much more mature than Caroline. He never causes problems, but like I mentioned earlier, there are some big issues with him not following Drew's and my dad's footsteps in football. I know Lacey is very desperate for my family's approval, so maybe excluding Max is the way to do it for her, but I have a feeling there's something more to it. After what Lacey said about not inviting Max, I stood up and started yelling at her for not including him. She kind of just ignored what I was saying, but when I escalated, Drew came over. As he was walking over, she started to cry and make a bigger scene about it. Drew knelt down to comfort her and gave me dirty looks. Once she was inside, he turned to me and started yelling at me about being rude to her, saying she's under so much stress from planning the wedding and trying to get my family to like her. I understand that my family is close-knit and kind of not welcoming to newcomers, but that doesn't excuse her behavior, and I told my brother so. I asked him why he didn't want to invite Max, and he just told me to stay out of it. Classic move of his. He called me an a-hole for treating Lacey like that, then walked out. We haven't spoken since last night. I understand that yelling at her was a bit much and I could have handled the situation differently, but I am sick of seeing Max being left out and treated badly. I don't want to fight with Drew, but I'm standing my ground for Max's sake. Max also doesn't know about any of this yet, and I'm hesitant to tell him. My parents have stayed out of it so far, but Drew is still set on being mad at me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but you're yelling at the wrong person. The person you should be having a go at is your older brother. He should be the one making sure Max is included. Frankly, if my family behaved like this, I would be standing in solidarity with Max, declining my wedding invitation and taking him on a nice day out the day of the wedding. This was my first thought. F them. Skip the wedding and go out with Max for a fun-filled day and evening, including turning off both of your phones so you don't have to listen to the barrage. But I would also be very petty and invite family and friends to come with us on this awesome time, not attending the a-hole's wedding. I would share it with all family. Many people have family members who are a-holes, but you know, they are your a-holes and they are still invited to the family functions and of course weddings. Drew is going above and beyond and needs to be called out and shamed for his behavior. Not the a-hole. Tell your parents and make them understand how it's unfair that Max is the only one not invited to the wedding in your whole family. Honestly, it doesn't even make sense considering that this isn't a child-free wedding, so the whole argument of Caroline being more mature than Max doesn't even hold up. Confront her with your parents and Max there. She doesn't need to include Max in the wedding party, but just not inviting him is a really low move. Make your brother understand this too. Hope y'all resolve this soon and Max also attends the wedding. That's what I was thinking too. I will try talking to them, but my parents have always been a little close-minded. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law I don't want her gifts anymore? So here's the thing. Every time she gives me something, anything, there's always a hidden jab. Like one time she gave me this expensive face cream. Cool, right? Except she goes,
This should help with those little wrinkles you're getting. I'm 27. I don't even have wrinkles. Another time, she got me a cookbook. Sounds sweet until she says, maybe this will help your cooking taste a little more like real food. I swear I felt my soul leave my body. And she said it right in front of her son, my husband, and he just laughed like she made a funny little joke. But it's not funny. It's every single time. Every gift has a message: you're not good enough. You're not doing enough. You'll never be enough. I've tried to let it go. I tried smiling through it. I tried being polite. I even told myself, at least she's giving you something. But last weekend, she handed me this super fancy dress. I was stunned until she said, finally, something flattering. You really shouldn't wear those tight tops. You know your shape can't handle it. I just snapped. I looked her straight in the eye and said, you know what? I don't need gifts that come with insults. Keep them. She gasped like I slapped her. My husband got mad and said I embarrassed his mom. Now she's playing victim, saying I threw her kindness back in her face. But like, is it really kindness if it makes me feel like crap every time? He thinks I overreacted, but I think I finally stood up for myself. But now everything's tense, like walking on eggshells level tense. So now I'm stuck questioning myself. Was I rude? Did I go too far? Am I the a-hole? You have a husband problem. He has allowed this and laughed along with his mean girl mom. Have you considered you married an a-hat and like mother like son? You're right, it's becoming clearer that the issue isn't just with her. His silence and laughter say a lot, and it hurts more than I expected. Gift wrap him and give him back to her. Next time you marry him off, hopefully he will become a man, and not an extension of your horribleness. Laughing out loud. I don't know why, but I imagined OP gift wrapping her husband and then cramming him back up in that witch's snatch while saying, and take back your gift to the world too. Not the a-hole. My late mother-in-law was like that, but usually did it when my husband was not around. However, even if I told him, he would not say anything. It harmed our marriage. However, her gifts were not always tied to insults. There were too many insults for that. Long story short, she did it in front of him when we were not in a good place, and we both let her have it. I decided to enforce boundaries that began with barely seeing her. She just could not understand why I was no longer around. Bless her heart. These things never come out perfectly, especially if we're holding back. Usually the expectation is for us to tolerate it, not care, move on, and smile through the whole thing. The moment we react, the attention is focused on how we reacted and how we could have handled it differently, not on the offense itself. You're not the a-hole. Talk to your husband. He's the one who needs to understand why what she was doing is wrong. It may take time. No one wants to realize their parent has been rude, especially if this has been normal for them for ages. Embrace the tension and do not apologize. If you apologize, it'll be very comfortable for them to confirm you're in the wrong and you overreacted. You did not.